Hey traders, this is Christian from Untitled Trade Group, and this is a quick end of day recap. Like I just said on Twitter, great way to end the week and a great way to start the month with the price action that we saw today. Risk disclaimer in front of you: everything that we're going through in this video is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. The full risk disclaimer is there. Also, if the screen is a little bit blurry, it's just because YouTube needs a little bit more time to render the high definition version of the video. So let's talk about a couple things that happened today and this week. Well, number one, I something that I kind of thought could take place this week, that we would see kind of heavy pressure. Well, I don't want to say heavy selling pressure at the end of the month, but that is what we did get. And we don't know fully if it's kind of end of month, end of quarter type of selling that has to take place. But we've seen this more often than not. And I put out the stats for how often this occurs, where how bad the performance is on the last day of the month versus how good it is on the first day of the month. So I'll put that out on Twitter again. But the performance is ridiculous. So, that is something that you can kind of take with you and say, hey, next month I can kind of position around that. Maybe I buy some puts the last week of the month to kind of help if there's a little bit of that underperformance the last week of the month, right? So, but there you have it again. Today S&P up 1.2%, just a nice comeback. I just wanted to touch upon this chart really quickly. I would watch. I think it's a positive that we finished inside value, new value area for the month. So this level to watch is really 43.35. So for S&P, which I know a lot of people pay attention to what the S&P is doing. Number one, we're going to have some distance to get us back above the 50-day moving average, but that's going to take a little while, and we'll see what happens if we do get back up there. For now, the level that I'm watching is very close to where we closed, which is going to be 43.35. Okay, that's the level for me to watch, and I will get more defensive again if we kind of see a move back below there. But I think overall not bad. And one of the things that I was saying in the midday video was that, hey, this happens from time to time, that we do get a deeper than normal dip in the market. We do get normally a couple corrections a year now, so this is now one of those corrections. I would remind you to again look at September and October, the chart last year. I've talked about this over and over, but we did see a pretty decent size move from highs to low. And then October was kind of a wild card last month, right? We did see in the beginning of the month a nice move, and then we saw some volatility again towards the middle of the month and the back end of the month. Do I know if that's going to play out exactly the same way? No, but again, I think the second half of the months have been difficult. So I would welcome a rally the first couple weeks, and then we see what we get at the end. Maybe that kind of brings us up to the 50-day moving average, and then we come back down. Who knows? One other thing that I wanted to mention too, because this is different than normal, because we have been now, dealing for a while with with obviously with COVID and reopening trades versus stay-at-home trades, and what happened today with Merck, which I think is wonderful news, right? I mean, we couldn't get positive news at a better time when there's been so much negative news that we've been dealing with, over the last few weeks. So that's wonderful news. Now, in terms of a trading aspect, remember the last time, and I know that the vaccine news is probably more paramount than what we received today from Merck, but it sounds like a pretty good treatment. Remember what day it was on the chart when the Pfizer BioNTech study, phase 3 study was announced. That was back here. Remember that big gap up by IWM, right? And look at what happened there afterwards. Now that was a crazy looking candle for the day, but that really kind of ignited this rally that we saw, or could have also been a little bit of seasonal factors too, when we got this huge rally in IWM. So we're not there yet, right? But it may be something to watch. Now, IWM did outperform today. At one point, it was up 2%, closed up 1.6%. And we know that it's locked in this range. Now, again, I always will have ideas, and I let the price action kind of confirm that for me. So I think it'll be really interesting to see which way this goes. I'm rooting for it to break out to the upside, but we're going to have to get through 225. We're going to have to get through this VPOC up here in IWM. So it's going to have to get some work to do, and we'll see. But the price action, listen, making this conclusion is not a huge revelation that one way or another IWM is going to break, either up or down. And I'll be paying attention very closely to how that goes. I am rooting for it to go to the upside. All right, so interesting. Let me go through a couple other things too. So I mentioned now the reopening type trades did very well today. PEJ is one way that you could play this. It's not exactly a reopening ETF, but it's dynamic leisure, right? So when you look at what's in this thing, right? This is PEJ, and we want to look at the constituents of this. Right. So Booking is the top holder of this, and then which is I view as a reopening play, and then you also have like a lot of restaurant names. You have a couple gaming casino type names in there as well. So I think this is an interesting way to kind of look at it and play it, because I think the airlines are a tough trade, but that's just me. I thought they were never an easy trade. So I want to keep this video short because it's Friday and you should have better things to do on Friday than to listen to this video. But I wanted to talk about just some of the observations that I saw today. And it's kind of a couple different areas of the market. So let's talk about first a couple of the retail names. So Deckers saw some call positioning today. I see a lot of this going on here, right? A name that was at the highs really got hit hard and all the way into the 200-day moving average. I positioned a little bit in this one today, right around the 200-day moving average. I put a little bit of a call spread on, right? Another one, too, that interests me is Starbucks. It's kind of an indirect reopening name because Starbucks is in airports. They're in motels, hotels. So people travel more. They're probably going to, go ahead and get coffee, especially, if they're hungover a little bit on their trips. So in any event, Starbucks is at the 200-day moving average. It had a nice day today. Disney's another one too. This one's a little bit, below the 200-day moving average and has a little bit of work to do, but more so Nike. Right, Nike had reported earnings. Big move up the last report. Then didn't fill the gap, but it's back to the 200-day moving average. They had good earnings, but they mentioned supply chain issues and so on and so forth that we know about. Hey, I think it's a nice trade versus the 200-day moving average stop. Right, again, you can't lose that much, provided that there's no gap down and provided that you're disciplined. But hey, not bad risk to reward. So that was one thing that I saw today. A lot of strength in the agriculture names. Look at CF Industries. Love the initials on here. Those are my initials, but up 9.5% for an agriculture name. That's a huge move. So it just kind of tells you something's going on in this group. Mosaic is very similar to this. Right, MOS. Also NTR, right, Nutrien breaking out to new highs, right? So, again, sometimes it's not always the names that we want to see that have the momentum, but I tend to go wherever it takes me, right? Another one, I got long this one. It didn't have quite the same momentum, but this is Bungie, BG. I think the chart looks good here. I'm looking for a move up to 86, 87. All right, so that's another theme. Of course, the energy theme, which we've talked about for the last couple of days. I think XLE gets up to 55, right? I think other names like CPE doing very well. BTU, which is coal, really nice move here. The uranium looks pretty good here too. All right, so a bunch of really good looking charts within this group. CCJ is another one too, right? Which is about over 20% of that uranium ETF. But nice move into the 20-day moving average and a nice move higher there. Oxy was one that I got long yesterday. Little bit of digestion here and boom, made a nice move up 5% on the day. All right. Also, the banks are starting, are looking pretty good. If you look at the week's performance, which I do have, Uh, where do I have the week's performance? There it is. All right, if you look at what did well this week, again, energy and the banks were up 5% this week. Right, so those were the two standout areas, but you could see carry looks pretty good, right? Out of this little bull flag, and I think this VPOC will get taken out next week. That's not too far away, but about $70. All right, so that's another group, and then just kind of a couple one-off names that I thought were interesting. TMO, right, which is kind of has been a very good name in the medical device group. It actually came in. Remember this gap up that we saw? It had guidance, and the name kind of ran into further. Look at the digestion. So I love this dip, and I got long this name. All right, so here's my blotter for the day. I mentioned BTU is a name I got long yesterday. Took a target in that one. BG, I mentioned that one. XLE I got long yesterday. Right, Oxy I took a target. XLE I took a target. TMO I positioned like right in the beginning of the day. I just thought this was also, even though the beginning of the day was a little bit shaky, but it moved down to the bottom of value. 50-day moving average was a perfect place for me to try a trade, and I love this hammer bar for the day, and the fact that it's filled this gap now. All right. So kind of waited and was patient on this one. A couple other ones, too, a little bit of one-off. But hey, could this SI be for real? Finally, after kind of moving back and forth, up 10% for the day. So we'll see if this one continues to break higher. Also, look at the candle on DOCN. Right, this is a very high momentum name, Digital Ocean. Look at where it found support. 20-day moving average, and kind of shook people out today too, because it looked like it was going to break the 20-day moving average this morning and then bounce back quite nicely. All right, another one that I really like here is Datadog. It's been holding up pretty well. All it did was basically come into the top of value for the month of September, and a pretty nice bounce. Another one that I'm watching too, which I've mentioned a couple times, is MDB. This one, I don't think. I didn't position in this one today because I'm waiting to see for a little bit more confirmation that this thing gets into value. So we'll watch there. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Of course, we'll be looking at more names. If you are not a member of Tribeca Trade Group, check it out. We have a great community of traders that I think we really tackled this week very well. I talked about that with members during the Q&A session earlier today. And that's the whole thing. That's the goal. When there is market volatility, it's to not give back too much gains. I posted my my P&L results for the month. I do this every month. I'm very consistent with this. I've been doing this now for 21 straight months, where I go ahead and give you what my trading account did for the month, and then of course I talk about it a little bit. So that's it. I put a couple observations in there too, but I will continue to do that every month. And I think, listen, I do run a service. Sometimes people like to criticize me over that, but hey, I run a service where we are all looking to help one another, right? And try to maximize our results. And I'm transparent about what I do. I would think that's what you would want. We really try to provide information as quick as possible to traders, and the setups are abundant. So, I really am very proud about what we do at Tribeca Trade Group. And if you're interested in that, you can either contact me on Twitter, or you could go right to our website and check us out, which is right here. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.